Well, hello, guys. Welcome to Chasing Labels again. And we are here for another Criterion Collection review. Of course, now we're in the new year. We're in 2026. We're in January. And this is a big slate, Andrew. We got some upgrades, and we got some really interesting new titles to the collection. But in this particular one, between me and Andrew, we got three new releases from them. I have House Party. Andrew's
Right.
got
Captain Blood.
Captain Blood, and between both of us, we have the film Birth, directed by Jonathan Glazer. So we will be talking about them tonight. But Andrew, let us know, what are the other films that are
Yes.
on the
So, of course,
slate for the month? Yeah.
there are several releases coming out this month, as there are every month from Criterion. As we turn the page to the new year, we have quite a few interesting releases. Obviously, the ones we just talked about with Captain Blood, Birth, and um, House Party, which was actually pushed back because it was supposed to come out in November, but they
Okay.
pushed it to January for technical reasons and whatnot. But some other titles we have, a couple of re-releases in the Edward Yang film in Yi Yi, as well as I
Dead Man.
believe
Dead Man.
Dead Man, and
Them are both upgrades to 4K.
yes, they are. And of course, we have The Dead from 1987, which is
John Huston.
I believe, um, Houston's last film.
Yeah.
And we have Kiss of the Spider Woman, Caught by the Tides, Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project #5.
Yeah. Big month. This is a big month. But it probably got a little bigger because, like you said, the House Party getting moved to this month. So that bloated it a little bit more. But yeah, big month, a lot of variety. I love it. So yeah. We're going to go through these three titles that we got. And of course, if these interest you, go to Criterion's website, go to, Orbit DVD, Diabolic. These are places where you're going to be able to find it. Or, wait for a sale. Of course, we get flash sales usually, in February? So,
Yes, and of course, there's the Barnes& and Noble 50% off sale that happens pretty biannually every July and November around that time. That's when I tend to load up.
yeah.
But
Now, I'll tell you, the flash
yes,
sale, I typically only get, I've said this before, I only get one title at a flash sale.
right.
And the title you're about to talk about is probably going to be the one I get.
Nice, nice. So I guess that leads me into my title, which is something I've been waiting for to come to high definition for many, many, many years, probably like 15 years. Ever since I got into classic golden age cinema, uh, you'll if you get into that era of cinema history, certain names come up, and two of the bigger ones are Olivia de Havilland and Errol Flynn, of course. Also, director Michael Curtiz, who directed Casablanca. But before Casablanca, and back in the 1930s, and came this movie called Captain Blood, which is a swashbuckling pirate film, also a bit of a romance. What's interesting about pirate movies is they seem to come and go every couple of decades. Like they just came to, they're big and prominent, and then they go away. Big and prominent, then they go away. But this is the movie that really kicked off the career of Errol Flynn as well as Olivia de Havilland. He was a relatively unknown actor at that time. Michael Curtiz had done some films beforehand, but this is another one that really put him on the map as well. Michael Curtiz famously, he directed like over 100 movies. It's massive.
He's really like we talk about Hitchcock in this time period a lot, but I think Curtiz he was like the Spielberg of that period.
Ironically, you say that, and I feel like Spielberg openly has expressed the fact that he took a lot from Michael Curtiz's movies.
Yeah.
Certainly from not only Captain Blood, but from The Adventures of Robin Hood, which would come out after this as well. That's kind of a more well-known Michael Curtiz film. I would love for that to get a Criterion release at some point, because I think that movie also could use a nice a nice restoration. For those of you who haven't seen Captain Blood, like I said, it's a swashbuckling pirate film from 1935. So we're going way back in the time
Mm.
machine, back to the days where the Warner Brothers of Warner Brothers were still alive. Jack L. Warner was running Warner Brothers at the time. Um, and as well as Hal B. Wallace was another big prominent name at Warner Brothers. And this movie is a period piece from the I forgot. I believe it's from the 1800s, maybe even earlier. I think it's earlier. I think actually no. I think it's from like the 1680s, 1690s, so 17th century. Anywho, Captain Blood, before he became Captain Blood, was a doctor. He was Doctor Blood. What the heck of a name there?
Yeah.
And he was treating a soldier of who was in a rebellion against the British Crown. And this soldier kind of showed up on his doorstep and was like dying of a wound, and being a doctor and having morals decided just to treat him. But of course the authorities came along and were like, hey, you can't be doing that because this is an enemy of the British Crown. You can't be doing that. And so they put him on trial. He was convicted of, I believe, treason, and he was sentenced to death. But instead of being put to death, they were like, hey, we need people to work in the fields in the West Indies. So we're going to send all of these criminals to the West Indies, down in the Bahamas, Jamaica. Don't get all Kokomo on me here. But they sent him and a bunch of criminals down to Jamaica and sold into slavery, into indentured servitude. And not to go down too far travel lane here. He was working for the local governor at the time, of course, whose niece was Olivia de Havilland. They strike up a little romance, and he and the other prisoners escape. They commandeer a ship due to certain circumstances, and he becomes a pirate known as Captain Blood, and he is sailing around the Caribbean and wreaking havoc against like the British fleet and stuff like that for years and years and years. So that's kind of the plot of this movie. And great sprawling action sequences that were way ahead of their time are in this movie. Like swinging on ropes from boats to boats, gunboat battles, all kinds of really big epic stuff, like Cecil B. DeMille level of epic stuff happening in this movie. Great editing, great filmmaking, great camera work, great shadow work in this. The movie's in black and white. It's really a movie that is a staple, I think, of the golden age of Hollywood to really show its prominence. And yeah, it's a pure classic. So the fact that this finally got a Blu-ray release, and in this case a 4K release as well, was an exciting moment for me, to say the least. Because needless to say, I've been wanting it for so long, but I was holding out in the hopes that we would get a much nicer release because it's been on DVD now for probably over 20 years. So it was really nice that this was able to come out and um, get a release. Now, when it comes to this edition here, it's a new 4K digital restoration. It looks very, very good. Like I said, sumptuous black and white cinematography and aesthetic. There's an audio commentary with Alan K. Rody, who's the author of Michael Curtiz's A Life in Film. Alan K. Rody, if you watch older movies on DVD, Blu-rays, etc., his name pops up all the time. He's a film historian. And then there's a documentary from 2005 on the making of the movie. And then there's a Lux Theater Radio adaptation from 1937, which also stars Olivia de Havilland and Errol Flynn, as well as Basil Rathbone. Basil Rathbone, who was kind of a career character actor in the 1930s and 40s, makes an appearance in this.
What,
He's also made an appearance in The Adventures of Robin Hood,
one
and
of the
he and
great,
Errol Flynn have
yeah,
a sword battle
one of the
together.
greatest names ever.
Basil. I always
Basil
wanted to
Rathbone. I mean,
Rathbone. Like that name just
that's
screams Hollywood actor. It
love
really,
it.
really does. As you can see, not a lot in the way of special features for this release, but to me, the big positive is the fact that we're getting it
Yeah.
in a higher quality than we've gotten before. And the movie looks good, it sounds good. Um, yeah, it's really fantastic. Now, it is an older 2005 documentary, so 20 years old by this point. A couple of people that pop up in there. Robert Osborne from TCM, who was, of course, a proponent of classic cinema, as well as great friends with Olivia de Havilland, and a couple of other people who like make an appearance in there that maybe classic film fans will recognize. But it's a nice comprehensive making of. It only runs like I think 22, 23 minutes, somewhere around there. So it's a short but sweet, but you get a lot of nice backstory about the pre-production making of the movie, who was supposed to star in the movie initially, and then them getting Michael Curtiz and taking a chance on Errol Flynn and Olivia de Havilland. And they would star actually in like 8 movies together over their career, and this was the first one. So it's kind of important from that perspective. But yeah, I really love this release a lot. Obviously, just for the movie itself, but yeah, so you get the usual. You have a double disc here, 4K UHD disc, as well as the Blu-ray. A little bit of a thin booklet here with essays and stuff and credits. I think it's a big old fold out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one of these bad boys, like a jigsaw puzzle you got to put together. So one of these. I don't know how you feel about these, Steven, but they save space at least.
It saves space. I'm not partial to them because I don't if I want to read it, I don't want to have to fold it out.
Right. That's very true.
I'd rather keep it in book form. Yeah.
All right, so that's the release of Captain Blood. I know classic film fans will absolutely love this release. I feel like this is going to be a hot buy this year.
I want it. Sales. I haven't seen it, and as soon as it was announced, I looked into it, and I was like, dude, I need to watch this movie. And of course, I could probably find a way to watch it, but I know it's not going to be good quality. So I was just like, I'll just wait. I want to get this release, and I'll have to wait probably flash sale, but I'm definitely grabbing it. So, all right. So the film that I got here that Andrew doesn't have is the 1990 film House Party, directed by Reginald Hudlin, and I believe this is his debut film. He actually did a short film that's on this release that kind of was like the pitch for House Party. And that's very, very micro budget, like nothing, just people he knew but the scenes that were captured in that short are very, you could see it in the feature straight up, especially the scene with his father where he's, being told he can't go out to this party and he tells him he has to stay in his room. That scene's right out of the short. So, but House Party, like I said, from 1990, and it stars, I believe, a couple hip hop artists of the time, and that is, I think Kid, and I think the name of the group was Kid and Play.
Yes.
And so Kid is Christopher Reed, and not Christopher Reeves, Christopher Reed, and then Play is Christopher Martin. And the rest of the cast, you got Martin Lawrence in here. You got the cast of Martin in here, Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell. And then you got some other recognizable faces of the time. But essentially, this is kind of a hangout movie. It's not really plot driven. Me and Andrew were talking before the recording here. What it compares to more present day movies, and we thought about like Dazed and Confused, things like that. But I think it's more akin to something like Superbad, not quite as raunchy, but like on that level of like kind of hanging out in one location more than kind of running around. I mean, I guess they do run around a little bit in Superbad, but eventually they get to one place and kind of hang out for a while. But it's got that cult, black, in this case, of course, black culture, all over it, hip hop, a lot of rapping and things like that, things of that time period that were really blowing up in black culture. And it's all wrapped up in this movie. And so entertaining, so fun, great characters. It also makes me think of Friday, which would come a little later than this. I think Ice Cube had to have had inspiration for writing Friday from this, because it's all over that movie. And yeah, honestly, it's not one you can, like I said, talk about plot wise, because it's very much just, kid has a party happening. He wants to go. His dad doesn't want him to let him go, so he sneaks out. The dad's onto him, so as he sneaks out, the father's like, he ain't getting me, and he goes going after him. But in the him trying to do that, he runs. The father kind of gets off track a little bit while he's at the party. Things go crazy. Things happen. you're dealing with sex, you're dealing with a little bit of
Mm.
drug stuff. It's all the things that teenagers experience of that time, and then dance battles and rap battles, and it's really fun, like really fun. And Reginald Headland is not somebody that I really paid attention to, but then I started looking at his discography, and he's been in a lot of stuff that I've seen. He directed, I believe, that what was it, Marshall? I believe he directed from a few years back ago with
Oh, the Thurgood Marshall film
yeah, the Thurgood Marshall film. He
with
directed
Chadwick
that.
Boseman.
Yeah, yep. He directed that. Let's see what else.
I mean, he
He's got,
directed he directed Ladies Man, which
yeah,
is
Ladies
a
Man.
fun movie. It's I believe it's an SNL film with Tim
Yeah.
Meadows.
Yeah, he's done a
That's
lot
a
of
fun
TV.
film.
He's done tons of TV. He did right after he did Party House, he did Boomerang with Eddie Murphy.
Yes, yes.
So he's done a lot of stuff, and he's still working today. And yeah, his visual style for this, he did some interesting things. There was this, especially like the opening scene where you kind of get like it's like a vibe starter where you get the house and it's in the midst of being partied in, and like every time there's like a bass boom, the camera shakes, and it's
That's a
like
cool effect.
yeah, it's a cool little thing, you know. And it's just little visual flares like that are really interesting. And of course, being in a house and having to shoot around a crowd of people takes skill. It takes, you know, unless you're on a set, which I don't believe they were on a set, but they could have been, but I don't think they were. And, you know, having to shoot around all that is difficult, but it's a cool movie, man. And I know it was very popular and still popular to today. So, what do you remember? I know you've seen it, but it's been a while.
It's been a while for me seeing it. I remember this movie when growing up in the early 90s, when hip hop became, it was growing, it became bigger and bigger, and it was becoming more like we know of it now, and even maybe it's actually evolved even more. But anywho, I remember this movie, people talking about this movie. I remember because at the time it also had a couple of sequels that were coming out during that era as well. This is actually a rather bigger franchise. There's 4 movies in the initial run. The 4th one I think was a TV movie, so I think by that time I think was the early 2000s. So it was like a direct to video.
Yeah,
I think it was a direct to video movie or something like that. But it had a remake from like 2-3 years ago where they actually remade House Party. But I remember when this movie came out, like I said, it kind of launched the careers of Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell, who would go on to be in the seminal sitcom of the 90s, Martin.
I watched that all the time.
Yeah, I watched that a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
That and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I watched that a lot.
Yeah.
Will Smith, of course, his career launched from there as well. But, it's interesting that this movie coming out in 1990, it's kind of has that 80s hangover a little bit with the style and the music and the clothes and all that kind of stuff. But it also has like universal themes in the movie as well. Like you say, it's a coming of age film somewhat, because there's a bunch of like young teenagers like doing young teenage stuff in it, dealing with relationships, dealing with parents, dealing with trying to be cool, trying to fit in, dealing with bullies, dealing with high school drama and stuff in there as well. And it all like comes together at this party, and hence the title of the movie, House Party. I remember seeing the sequel actually before seeing the original when I was a kid.
I'll be honest. I know that I'd seen some either the sequels or this movie. Like, I don't know I know I've seen it at some point when I was growing up, but because all I can remember is Christopher Reed's hair.
Yes, his hair was very well known.
Top. A tall flat top.
He had the flat top, which is such an 80s gem of a haircut.
And it's not even just a flat top; it's a tall flat top. It's it's like Abe Lincoln's hat, like type of thing,
Very much so. Because I remember seeing the sequel first, because in the sequel they go to college, so it's a whole different set of like game. Like they have to come to terms with the idea of becoming adults, what that means now. The relationships evolve between him and Martin Lawrence, between him and Tisha Campbell's character. Their relationship goes to like a rocky point because it's now, it's more adult and stuff. You got to start asking yourself certain questions like, what do you want to do with your life and whatnot? So I remember seeing that one before this one. But like I said, it's been many, many years since I've seen it, but this is definitely one I'm probably going to pick up at a sale, upcoming sale, because I've always wanted it. I just
Yeah.
never had it. It has been available on DVD and I believe Blu-ray for many, many years. But what does this release have for special features?
Yeah. So you got a new audio commentary with Headland. And you got a new conversation with Headland and producer Warrington Headland, which is his brother, his older brother, who's a independent filmmaker all on his own. And they talk about that a little bit. He talks about how his brother influenced him and got him going, as somebody that was always dabbling in filmmaking but not quite going the full mile. And finally, his brother kind of like kicked him and said, "Right now, get the shit out. Let's do it." And so there's a great conversation there. And then you get, unfortunately on Zoom, I was hoping it was going to be like in person, but you get like the cast reuniting. The only thing that was annoying was that Martin Lawrence wasn't there. That I was like, why is it Martin Lawrence here? Like, I mean, come on. What
Maybe
else
he's
is he
too
doing? A
big of
Bad
a
Boy
star.
sequel? Is he doing a Bad Boy sequel or something? He
I
couldn't
think
come.
what's crazy, it probably was at the time, because there's been two Bad Boy
Maybe.
sequels in the last like 4 years.
Maybe, but God, he had a fucking an hour somewhere to do this conversation with these guys. But it was still fun. It's fun seeing the cast now and talking about the good times they had making the movie and how it's affected their life and influenced what they did going forward. So you get that, and like I said, also you get the short that was made before this as like a proof of concept. And yeah, and then of course the essay, just like any Criterion release, you got the 2 discs here. You get the nice colorful essay book here. It's similar to yours, where I guess this is the standard now. It folds out like this. So, yep, that is house party
Nice. I was saying, I love how it has the nice bold colors of like circa 1990.
for sure. Yeah,
If you were around during that time, like colors and like big pastel colors were all the rage. Like not
Dick
quite
Tracy.
tie-dye.
Dick Tracy.
Yeah, well, people who had like those big bold blues and yellows and pinks and purples, like that was such the style back then. Now, and then things morphed to be more drab, I think, over the years. But yeah, nice pickup there. But speaking of a movie swinging the pendulum in terms of tone here,
yes,
Jonathan Glazer's Birth.
Yes.
Movie from 2004. Now, Jonathan Glazer is a unique film director in the sense like he's only made 4 movies in his career.
Yeah. Since the beginning of the century, he's made only like 4 movies.
And the thing is he's typically did a lot of music videos and commercials beforehand and afterward. But in terms of feature films, he only does like one every couple of years.
10 years.
10 years. Ironically, is you can get them all. Sexy Beast.
Yep.
Under the Skin, and Birth, obviously, and then his newest film, which was The Zone of Interest, which came out a couple of years ago. But yeah, if you look at the dates for these movies, Sexy Beast was 2000, this was 2004, Under the Skin was 2013, and then this was what, 2023, I think, 2024. So yeah, it's once every.
What are you, James Cameron? What are you, James Cameron or something?
he has that level of Kubrickian perfectionism that is unique amongst filmmakers. But Birth, this is a movie I've been waiting so many years for this to get a Blu-ray release, or obviously now 4K release. And so when this was announced, similar to Captain Blood, I was super excited because I've got an old used DVD which I no longer have any use for, which I spent a whopping $2 on because it was on sale for $1.99. Obviously, the upgrade from DVD to 4K is like night and day. And yeah, this old DVD, I don't think even had any special features. So this was a miracle that this actually finally happened.
Yeah.
But Steven, I'm curious your perspective, I think, because it was your first time watching this, I believe.
Yes, it was. So yeah, I had no real honestly, I didn't even read what the movie was about. I just went into it and just started watching it. And so yeah, it gets into it and it starts out as this like, kind of drama that this woman's kind of grieving over her husband who just died recently. and that's the opening scene. The opening scene is this essentially faceless husband um, that is taking a jog, and then at the end of the jog, he collapses and dies. And so now it goes, I think, what, 10 years later, and our widow, played by Nicole Kidman, is now thinking about getting. She's just been she's she's got a new fiance,
Mm.
and she's planning to get married again, but she's still dealing with it. She's still kind of, she said yes finally after saying no so many times to this guy, but you can tell it's still battling. It's never going to leave her. And so then out of nowhere, this 10-year-old boy shows up and says, "I'm your husband, Sean." And
Yeah.
then as we always say, adventures ensue.
Yeah. The movie then descends into this melodramatic, serious drama about life, death, grief.
The afterlife,
Yeah, afterlife. Like
what
it becomes incredibly contemplative, very, like I said, melodramatically serious because you're dealing with heavy emotions
yeah,
of grief, which is something that stays with a lot of people. Stays with people for a very long time, I should say, sometimes lifelong. And in this case, like Stephen was saying, 10 years have gone by, but the Nicole Kidman character is still obviously holding on to the sudden loss of her late husband. Her, fiance is portrayed by Danny Houston. Danny Houston's in this film. Peter Stormare is in the film, and the late Anne Heche is in the film as well. In terms of people you may recognize, but typically with Jonathan Glazer films, at least, yeah, his most recent stuff. Oh goodness, Birth, Under the Skin, and The Zone of Interest are all deeply thematic, slow, contemplative films about various things.
yeah,
He's very much an art house director.
for sure.
I'm sure you got that vibe from this.
And what's interesting about him too is that he's an art house director, and obviously being a director is a visual thing. But he's so interested in the the audio experience of his
Yeah.
movies. We think about Zone of Interest, and we're like, well, it's the sound design and things that really make that movie. And in this movie, of course, it's the same thing, along with the fact that it's scored awesome score in this movie by Alexander Desplat, which at the time we weren't hearing so much about at the time,
Hmm.
but he would become more and more relevant. I think, didn't he work with Del Toro a
Yeah,
lot?
he's also
Yeah,
worked with Wes Anderson. I think every time he does a
yeah,
Wes Anderson score, he gets nominated for an Oscar or
yeah,
wins an
yeah,
Oscar for it.
yeah,
But it's interesting that it's the Splat because I'm so used to, like you're saying, like I was saying with Wes Anderson, it's more of an upbeat, whimsy score. This
yeah.
one is all about foreboding and just like suffocating and just morose and just dark. You know what I mean? This whole movie aesthetically is dark.
I think
Uh,
I think at times the score gets pretty operatic. It's pretty like
mm,
it almost gets into melodrama with how
right.
the like it kind of tries to manipulate your emotions. Like it tries to take you down a path.
Yeah, I feel like
Um,
there's a whole weight on this movie, and
yeah,
as a viewer, you feel that weight, and it's the combination of the score, the themes, the acting,
yeah,
the the aesthetic of the movie, and yeah, this movie has always captured me. And like I said, I hadn't seen it in a rather long time since I probably bought the DVD about 10, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, and yeah, it was an interesting rewatch. Also, it's interesting going back to really the prominent time in Nicole Kidman's career, that late 90s, 2000s, when she became kind of a megastar in terms of her powers as an actress, in my opinion, where she was doing really challenging work and really fantastic work in her career. Not that she's not doing a lot now, because she is. She's in a movie like every year now, a couple of movies now. She's constantly working.
doing a
But
lot of
really,
TV.
when you go back to somebody's prime in their career, in the acting business, it's like wow, you're like bowled over in terms of like how good they are. Like Nicole Kidman's really good in this movie, and it's a movie that's not an easy film, I think, to watch. Because it is very challenging in terms of like believability. Because you
Yeah,
kind of you as a viewer have to start questioning, hey, is this person really the reincarnated husband of Nicole Kidman, or what is actually
Eh,
going on here? And
yeah.
the movie's very ambiguous all the
Yeah,
way up to the third act. Like
for
it
sure.
gets you thinking.
Well, and also, like, I think what's interesting too is like, when we obviously see lots of movies that play up fantasy and like things that happen that can, that are not things that we actually deal with in real life. And so, but when you play up that part of it, like the supernatural elements, it's okay. It's understandable. You don't really think about how somebody would react to it, but this movie plays it so straight, that that's what's so great about the performance is that she has to, because the movie's playing it straight, she has to make us believe what she's feeling, and
Is real.
like
Yeah.
like like yeah, and like
Her conflict, she has to sell us on her internal conflict
yeah, yeah,
externally. And
yeah, and how
Nicole
do
Kidman's
you
that good.
react, and also choosing how you do react to something like this when you're playing it so straight.
Mhm.
That's not only her performance but the writing as well. um like, because it, like, how would a person in real life react to, like, oh, my husband's been reincarnated into a child, and like, huh, like,
Yeah.
so it's
Also, I mean, I say this a lot where a movie that hinges on a child acting can make or break,
sure.
a movie. And I think the young actor in this movie really did a fantastic job of selling us on the sincerity of the performance and the sincerity of those ideas as well. And I thought the chemistry they had with Nicole Kidman was really, really good, and just the whole vibe that the kid gave off, the playing it straight, almost
Yeah,
emotionless, almost like a cold, matter of fact way. This movie does feel very cold and very almost nihilistic in its approach to this idea, and the whole movie. Like I keep going back to the aesthetics. This movie was purposely shot to be underexposed, so it
yeah,
was supposed to be um, like darker
yeah,
and more grainy and have a more underlit aesthetic to it. And there's a whole special feature in
yeah,
here that
yeah,
explains that in very technical terms. If you're not into that type of stuff, into that type of level of filmmaking, you may be a little confused by it because they go into that pretty significantly. Now, this movie was shot by Harris Savides, who's unfortunately has passed away over many years ago. He did one of the earliest Criterion Closet videos, actually, which is interesting connection there. But he shot a bunch of movies. I know he worked a lot with Sofia Coppola. He worked a lot with David Fincher. Talk about darker movies.
yeah,
But yeah, they had a lot of interview stuff with him talking about the making of the movie and talking about how they purposely shot it on film and how they underexposed it, how the cameras they used and all kind of stuff like that. So I thought that all that stuff was just immensely fascinating because the movie is so wrapped up in its aesthetic and that just like I said, it plays with the vibe and tone of the movie. This movie, just revisiting it now, it's just really fantastic. But yeah, I'm glad we both got to see it. Let me go to the special features because, like I said, it's some good stuff in here. So we've got obviously it's a new 4K digital restoration, supervised and approved by director Jonathan Glazer. I guess that's definitely important.
well, he's
It,
got time,
He's
to
got
approve.
time. He's got all these years. It is in Dolby Vision HDR. Captain Blood did not have Dolby Vision or HDR or anything like that, but this one does. Which is ironic because the movie's so dark. Like the high dynamic range bumps up things like colors and stuff like that, and where
Yeah,
it doesn't really kind of affect the movie too much. But there's an interview from 2004 with Jonathan Glazer and actor Nicole Kidman. I think that was done on the Charlie Rose show back in the day. There's a new documentary on the making of the film featuring behind the scenes footage and interviews with Glazer producers and members of the cast. That is fascinating. That is really good. That runs 20 something minutes long. It's
yeah,
over 20 minutes. It's not quite, but under a half an hour. There's a new program on the film's cinematography featuring interviews with camera operator Craig Hogginson and first assistant cameraman Eric Swanek. That runs about 30 minutes long. That's the one that gets into all that cinematography and stuff like that and the photography of the movie. That's all stuff I eat up personally. But yeah, going from no special features to new special features is always a plus to me.
yeah.
Always a plus. Uh, but similar to what we just saw, two discs here, Blu-ray, 4K UHD. We have the fold-out booklet once again. That seems to be
It's this, I guess, the
recurring
standard
here.
now.
I
Yep.
guess Seems to be recurring. Interesting. You have some pictures here from the movie as well on the other side. Got Danny Houston, Nicole Kidman, Anne Heche. Those are just like stills from the movie, pretty much.
Yeah. 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 I was, like I said, it was my first time watching it and I was taken in by it for sure. It was definitely a, the hook of the movie. Yeah. It brings you in. It makes you, it kind of keeps you compelled until the, the last act there where they kind of reveal what's going on a little more, but like, still at the end, the themes kind of run all the way to, and it's kind of left on this note that's like, just really, yeah, it's
a bleak movie.
It breaks your
really
heart. It breaks your heart a little bit. You're just like,
And the end of, I don't want to spoil, but there's ambiguity at the end of the movie in terms of
Sure.
emotional turmoil, which I think is an interesting philosophical thing. But anywho, I do want to say one shout out to Lauren Bacall, a little classic movie reference here. She plays Nicole Kidman's mother in the movie, and I think she's great in the film as well. It was one of her last roles, I think. If you look at her IMDb, she had a couple of roles after this. This was before she had her cameo appearance as herself in The Sopranos. There's a whole thing in The Sopranos where one of the characters decides to like go to Hollywood and wants to be like a producer, and he meets Lauren Bacall and like robs her of like a swag bag she gets from an award show. It's a pretty funny sequence. just imagine Lauren Bacall getting robbed by a New Jersey mobster. That's what happens in the episode. But anywho, two really good releases from my perspective. Obviously, two good releases from your perspective as well, Stephen. I don't know if you have anything else left to say other than these are available this month from Criterion. I believe Birth is coming out on the 27th of January of 2026, and let's see, Captain Blood is coming out the 20th of January 2026. House Party is the 27th as well, and yeah, I think that's. Am I missing one?
No, that's it.
No, that's all of them. Yeah.
So yeah, please, you can go to the Criterion website, like I said before, to get to order these, CriterionCollection.com, or go to, of course, one of your favorite local outlets, whether it's Orbit DVD, Diabolic, though I'm sure they'll get them in pretty quickly. So that is it for this Criterion Collection review. This was January 2026. Please subscribe to the channel, listen to this on audio, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and of course, check back with us on Chasing Labels for all the other shows that we do. Thanks, guys, and we will see you next time.